welcome back to Reads and Threads. My name's Kate. Hello if you're new here, welcome back if you're joining us again. Today we are going to be running through my June wrap up. It feels like June was so long ago. And I haven't told you what I thought of any of the books that I read. So we'll run through how I did, the roles that we got from our June TBR, and what I overly thought of the books I managed to finish. So we'll start with a few stats. Just quickly, overall, my total for the month. So in June, I did manage to read 11 books. Of those, though, I did end up DNFing 3. Pages will be counted in my stats. I have not star rated them in any way because I didn't finish them, so I don't have an overall thought on them. In total, I read 3,458 pages, which works out to a total pages per day of 115.27, which I'm fairly happy with, and then an average page count of about 314.36. So that's pretty good. Of the books that I did manage to finish, I rated 4 4 stars, 1 3.5 stars, and 3 3 stars, with an average star rating of 2.58. So that's a bit down from last month, but it is what it is. All of the titles were backlist titles, so there was no new release titles this month. And in the formats that I read them in, I did 2 physically, 4 on audio, 3 on ebooks, and then 2 mixed media, one of which was physical and audio, and then the other one was physical and ebook. Series now, I did start 8 new series, continued 1, and did 2 standalones. For age demographic, I did 5 young adult and 6 adult. How I acquired these, I got 2 from Audible, 5 from the library, 2 I borrowed from people that I know, and 1 I owned myself. Genre breakdown now, I did 5 fantasy, 1 historical fantasy, 2 urban fantasies, 2 crime, and 1 dystopian. June was the second time that we played my TBR game, Reach the Castle, and I ended up in total, I think, with 6 roles again to read for the month, and then added my 3 book club challenge books, and then I did read a few extras. There was one that I did bring over with me from May, which was Working for the Devil by Lilith St. Croix. By the end of May, I think I was about 50% done with this book, and I finished it off. I was enjoying it enough that I wanted to continue reading and find out what was happening, though I wouldn't say that it was anything overly special. It was a very average book. The characters were interesting. The plot was intriguing. And it is a good time. I just don't have that urge to move directly to the second one. It is a series I will still continue on with. It didn't really give me that sense that I had to keep reading it to know what happened. I found it extremely similar to a lot of other urban fantasies that I have read before. And like I said, it was okay. There were a few moments where I think I did snigger out loud a bit, but overall, interesting world and dynamic. I ended up just giving it 3 stars, and I think that is pretty much what it is. It's an average good read. If you just want something light and easy to read through, this might be one worth picking up, but don't go into it with super huge high expectations that this is probably going to be the best urban fantasy that you've ever read. Okay, so when we played the game for June, our first roll, we rolled a 5 and we landed on The Bow and Arrow, which are books that I added to my TBR in 2012. We ended up pulling out The Reef by Nora Roberts. So I went into this one hoping for a really good read. I have read a lot of Nora Roberts and really enjoyed them. Knew that this was a standalone crime. I didn't mind the premise. It's all about scuba diving and treasure hunting, so fairly interesting. However, I have DNF'd. So I managed to get about 68 pages through and I just really wasn't having a good time. I think this one came out originally in 1998, maybe, I think it was. And it again, straight away was inappropriate touching. The banter between what was probably going to be the love interests was just not okay. It just gave me the ick. I didn't care. He at one point grabs her and pulls her on top of him on a hammock on a boat, and I was just like, ooh. And then she was antagonizing him for no reason and getting super angry, and they'd only just met, and it just was not it. To the point where, even though I really like the edition and covers in my collection, I am going to be unhauling this one, and it's just not for me. So I think that's going to become a fairly consistent theme. The more Noah Roberts' oldest backlist that I have been picking up, I think I'm not going to like as much as I was hoping I would, just because they have dated now and they just don't hold up anymore. Overall, I was really disappointed that I didn't like this one as much, but I also didn't want to waste my time reading a book that I wasn't enjoying. So though I could have probably finished this one, it was kind of grossing me out, and I just thought there's no point. So this one will be leaving my house. My friend is starting those little libraries, and so I'll give this one to her and she can put that in her little library as one of her first books. For our second roll, we rolled a 10, so a fairly decent number, and we landed on a crown. And we pulled out Roombinder by Alex, I get his name wrong all the time, Alex R. Kayla. I was really glad that this one was pulled. I have owned this book an extremely long time and been meaning to give it a go. And I had put it down as my LGBTQI plus option for our fantasy bingo. I knew it was a gay fantasy story, so just really wanted to give it a go. I really enjoy gay fantasy, and it wasn't a bad time. It was quite good. I gave it in the end 3.5 stars. I think some of it was a little bit repetitive. He is thrust into a world and a situation he is slightly unprepared for, and he is struggling with how to deal with what is going on around him. He is very unsure. So I keep saying he because I can't remember what the name's character is. 10. He doesn't know who to trust, what to do. He is turning out to be more powerful than even he knew. And he's got all of these people out for him and people dying around him that he doesn't really know how to deal with it. I am eager to continue on. I don't know that I'm rushing out to read the second one, but I will be continuing on. And I think this is just a duology, if I am right. I'm not entirely sure, but overall quite a good read. I'll be keeping it in my collection, and if you do like gay young adult fantasy, it's probably well worth a read. Third roll gave us an 8, and we landed on Bow and Arrows, and we pulled Bye Bye Baby by Fiona McIntosh. Now, Fiona McIntosh is an author that I have read from previously. All of her fantasy, pretty much except for one series, I have already read. She does write a lot more historical romance, general kind of books these days, as well as this crime series. So my mum is very into her general historical works and has really enjoyed her detective series since she picked it up. So I borrowed this one off her because she owns it, and I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I found it interesting, and I so wanted to jump to the end to find out what was going to happen. I struggle a fair bit with that with any kind of crime thing. I'm not good with the tension and the lead up and all that kind of stuff. I just want to know how it works out. And then I could probably be fine reading the book. I just need to know how it's going to end before I go through. But I did restrain myself. I didn't jump to the end. I did find the 2 detective constable sergeants under the DCI a little annoying, because they were a lot of the time just going on about how hot and interested they were in our main detective Jack, and that just frustrated me. I was just like, can we just get to the mystery that we're trying to solve? This one, we are following a serial killer, and that was intriguing. What happened to our serial killer to lead them to seek revenge was atrocious. You did feel sorry for the serial killer. Well, I did anyway. And I think that's an interesting dynamic, that this person is going around killing people, and yet I can kind of get behind why they're doing it. So that was an interesting aspect. I'm hoping, as I continue on with this series, which I am planning on doing, that the teams that work with Jack are a little less annoying in the he's so awesome, I love him, he's so handsome, I want to have him as my partner, he's the perfect guy. Like, that just kind of ruined it a little bit for me, which is why I only gave it 4 stars. I was eager to pick it up and know what was happening. This one I listened and read physically, and I think that was a good way to do it. I was eager enough after I finished listening to it for the day to then pick it up and read it and continue on. So looking forward to these coming up again in the future and continuing on. I really do like Fiona McIntosh's style of writing. So if you haven't picked her up yet, whether it's her fantasy, crime, or general, I would definitely recommend her as an author. For our next roll, we rolled a 4 and we landed on a potion bottle. And these are books that I added to my want to read list in 2024. So not a hugely long ago. And we pulled out The Watchmaker's Daughter by C.J. Archer. So this is the second C.J. Archer book that I have tried. Again, these predominantly seem to all be historical fantasy. So set back in old school London, England. And this one I did really enjoy. So this is about a man looking for a watchmaker to help fix his magical watch, and a woman who is the daughter of a watchmaker, and her father has since died and she has been kicked out. Her fiance was a douchebag and is struggling to find somewhere to apprentice and be able to work her trade, and she is extremely good at fixing watches. So they come together and try to help each other to find this watchmaker that this guy is looking for, and she's trying to uncover what is going on. It was a really interesting story. I quite enjoyed it. I think this series is like 13 books long, so I'm not entirely sure where they're going to take it, but I had a lot of fun reading it. This one I've given 4 stars. And this, of the C.J. Archer that I have read, this one is a better storyline. It's much more interesting, and I'm just eager to see what happens next. So this series will be staying on my want to reads, and I am looking forward to giving more of them a go. It's just an easy time if you like period drama with a bit of mystery and fantasy thrown in. Well, worth checking out, I think. Okay, for our 5th roll, we rolled a 5 and we landed on a sword. So these are books that I added to my TBR in 2014, and we pulled out Matched by Ali Condé. I do remember seeing this a lot around the library at work over the years and have always been intrigued. This one is a dystopian setting where society has adapted to deciding who you are going to end up with by pretty much like a computer program that matches you with your perfect person. And in this one, the main character is matched supposedly to her best friend, though there's kind of a computer glitch and then another person's face comes up. And it's extremely early 2000s kind of book. So I did end up, when I started this one, looking it up to see when it came out and what other stuff had come out around it. I feel like this one was trying really hard to be like a Hunger Games kind of style, and technically even Divergent, though apparently Divergent came out after this. It's extremely similar, those kind of styles of books, and I think unfortunately it just doesn't work for me anyway. I think it's just, it tries really hard but it just doesn't go through, to the point where I did DNF this one. So I stopped reading. I gave it a good old college try. I got to page 92 before I stopped, and I just thought there are better dystopian teen books out there that I really enjoyed and I really want to get to, and this unfortunately is not a series for me. So I have DNF'd this one and I have removed the rest of this series from my want to read list. Okay, next up we rolled a 1 and we landed on Murphy's prompt cards, which I was really happy about because I don't know that I want to do a game without a prompt card. So we'll see how that goes. But we ended up pulling a book with werewolves, for which we picked for the prompt Moon Called by Patricia Briggs. This is a series that multiple people have been on me to try for a very long time. And I have always been eager to give it a go, just never got around to it. It's okay. I've given it a 3-star. It was a easy, quick read. Interesting storyline, again, sassy female main character, interesting setup. I'm just hoping that the series as a whole just gets better. It's a nice average urban fantasy, easy read. Again, it's the first book in a series that is extensive, so I am looking forward to continuing on. I am going to continue on. I think it's definitely, hopefully, going to be one that I can enjoy. But again, I'm finding anyway with urban fantasy that though I enjoy them, I don't really love them. They're not ones that I'm like super eager to move to the next one to find out what happens, but also just a good time. And every now and then you just need those books that you can slot between your bigger series setup or more intense books and just have a nice enjoyable time reading. And I think that this actually kind of works for that. So I am looking forward to continuing on and seeing what it is my sister really loves about this series. Next up, we had my book club book for the month of June, which was The North Wind by Alexandra Warwick. This one was a toss-up between this book and another book, and we decided this one was going to be one, easier for all of us to get our hands on, and Sarah, who was picking it, was really interested to get to this one. Unfortunately, I DNF'd this book. I got to chapter 7, which was about page 62. And I don't understand how this book has gotten as popular as it has. It is so badly written. I just don't understand the hype. I did speak to a few of my friends who did manage to finish it, and they pretty much convinced me to stop reading it. They were just like, it's not worth it. It doesn't get any better. The main male character, I did meet him and he was horrid. I don't know why anyone would want to ship him, like him, want anything to do with him. And apparently it doesn't get any better. The main girl was a bit of a pain in the ass. She is trying to protect her sister, puts herself into the position where she is taken by the male main character instead. But she's an alcoholic pretty much. There was nothing remotely interesting about either of the main characters, nothing that made me want to like either of them. I will agree, I didn't get very far into it, and like I said, I don't rate my DNFs, so it's not ever going to get a star rating from me. But the fact that this has now turned into 4 books with special editions and all that kind of stuff, I don't understand. I think I did look this up, and it was originally only meant to be a standalone and has since moved into a series, but just really don't get it. My buzzword challenge for the month of June was to read a book about memory, and I picked The Memory Thief by Lauren Manzi. This is just one that I found at work. I didn't have any books on my want to read list that fit this prompt at all that I could find a memory word in, and when this came up and it was like a sci-fi fantasy, I was like, that works. So this one, we're following a society that deals in memories kind of like currency. So people are auctioned off, and when they're auctioned off, it's actually that their memories are taken and then given to other people. And I think that just makes a really hard concept. A lot of the story, we were going back and the main character was remembering what happened with her mum or her dad or all this kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of backwards thought. So it meant that the plot wasn't overly progressed as well as it could. She had the ability to see and give other people memories as well. It was an okay time. It's a good teen fiction. It is just a standalone. It wrapped up fairly well, I think. I gave it 3 stars. It was easy to get through, but still had those things that just didn't work very well. The memory is a hard thing, and like dealing in memories, I think though a cool concept, is hard on execution to just get it to flow right and be understandable and not spend all that time back in the past in other people's memories in a way that is enjoyable to listen to or read. The other book that I did put on my TBR for the month of June was Wrath by John Gwynne. This is my catch-up book club book from Becca and the Books, and I don't have to finish that one until towards the end of July. So this one was put on just if I got to it, I would start it in June, and I don't know that I did. I think I left it and I've started it now in July. So that one wasn't finished, but I wasn't really overly expecting to even get to it much. I did end up reading 2 more books though this month, and they were Heart of Mist and Reign of Mist by Helen Schurer. These are the first and the second in the Oromir Chronicles, which is the first series that Helen wrote. So this is a YA series that I think is set before the Siren Queen ones that I read first. And these were just a good time. They have really good audios. These ones are narrated by Angeli Masters, and she did a really good job. I had them on in the background at work and while I was driving, and they were just a really good time. It was interesting to see how it's set in the same world universe as the Siren Queen series, so it was cool to see how those 2 stories interconnected. The world building was interesting. The characters were interesting. The main character's name was slightly annoying. It was Bleak, and that continued on for the series, obviously. Even with some of our plot twists and revelations, it was just a really good time. I enjoyed it immensely. I gave both of these books 4 star, and I think they are really good. They aren't my favorite of Helen Schurer. I think the Siren Queen series is still my favorite that she has written so far. I haven't read further on to her romantasy series, so The Legends of Thesma, yet, though I do now own them all, so I am eager to get into those. And if you haven't picked up Helen yet, she is just great. So these are available on Kindle Unlimited as ebooks, and I got a full omnibus version of all 4 of the books in this series on Audible, which is how I listen to them. So it just went one after the other, and it was really good. Like I said, they're really well done. If you haven't checked them out, I definitely would recommend doing that. So the Oromir Chronicles and the Siren Queen are all self-published books, and she is just an awesome world builder, author. I highly recommend her. She has become one of my favorite authors, and I can't wait to just consume more of what she has put out in the world. Overall, I'm really happy with the amount that I got to over June. I had a good time listening and reading and taking in all of the different worlds and characters that I did manage to get to. Have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? Do you agree with me? Not? I'd be really interested to have some chats down in the comments with you all. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I release a video once a week and would love to have you on board. I wouldn't want you to miss out on anything coming up. If you would like to, I have linked down below my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Storygraph, so feel free to come and follow me over on any of those. If you don't have much to say but just like to let me know that you are here, please leave me a little wolf emoji down in the comments. Moon called, I think that just works perfectly, and I just hope that wherever you are having a really wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.